Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 365 Message Center show. We've got, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. So let's just dive right into it. Roll it. Playing the music in my head.
One of those weeks, man. We
Yes.
got off the show from last week, and it has not stopped.
Nope.
You go back to your message center, and it's 2 or 3 messages a day. Wowzers.
It is.
Yeah.
I go through the week and looking at messages just to keep track of what's going on, and as well as keeping an eye on the next week's show. And I'm like, oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff already there. Wow, there's even more. And so as I progressed through the days, it was more and more and more. So we even got some, Valentine's Day items in here. So
Lovely,
anyway,
isn't
so
it?
it's
Lovely.
yes,
Valentine's Day.
yes, yes,
Oh well, let's get into it because there
yes,
literally are like 12 or 15 or something,
a lot.
some tremendous number.
Hmm.
More
Hmm.
than I'm trying to think of a Trumpism, but it's not flowing right.
I wouldn't go there.
No.
Let's just move along.
Just go with it. We're starting at the wrong end of the stick. Oh no, here we are. We're starting.
Oh,
With,
yeah, yeah.
New tasks module in Outlook Web. Now, just judging by the title and that it's a major update, we're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And as you read into it, that's when you start getting excited. They're building
Yep.
or bringing in Microsoft To Do into Outlook, and if you had missed the session at Ignite, I dug into it for the first time. Okay, I didn't see it at Ignite, but it does have a great demo of what it will look like, and really looking forward to that. Do you use tasks much when you're in Outlook on the web?
I do. I use
Yeah?
Task a lot. I have actually moved over here recently, actually, to using To Do,
Mm-hmm.
which does show me my Outlook tasks as well.
Mm.
It has, but I do use Tasks, and it is. I think I track my items that I need to do that day electronically. Some people write it down on whiteboard or have post-it notes or whatever, and that's what I use it for. Do you use it?
Yeah, definitely. I started trying it out after I saw that Wunderlist was ticking. I'm actually going to open this window, dude, because it is pretty hot in here. we-
Watch out, people! He's going to get hit with the shade.
Summer breeze. I'm going to be
It's going to be
hit
great.
occasionally with this lovely curtain here. But there's another reason too. I can see the machine is kind of choking on the heat as well. This poor little room can get up in the high 30s, mid 30s. Anyway, without having to do conversions. Yeah, so yes, I am using it, and I do really appreciate the integration between that and the Outlook tasks, because you can manage your tasks from your phone and from various
Yep.
different mobile apps, and that was actually an experience we didn't really have a great experience from our mobile, which is where we
Right.
do tend to manage tasks a lot.
Yep,
But
that's right. And for this one, I think there is an impact on users. There's also, and maybe you could talk about the impact on users and using it, but there's also an admin impact on this, and that's that To Do uses a domain, to-do.office.com. And so if you do, any kind of whitelisting of domains for your organization to make sure that people can get access to those domains, you're going to need to make sure it's on there. But as far as the user impact, what do you think we're going to be seeing here with this integration? You saw that session at Ignite, right? So what are we going to be seeing for users being impacted here?
Well, I think the general comment has been, especially when it was talked about this week on social media, that tasks in Outlook on the web was anemic. It was pretty weak, didn't do a lot. Yeah, sure, it listed the tasks. But the impact is going to be that you're going to access it from wherever you are in Outlook through a new experience up in the toolbar, in the nav bar.
Right.
So up where you've got your, I keep calling it the cog, but it's the gear icon.
Gear settings, yeah.
The gear settings icon. It'll be up near there, and you can click on that, access your list of tasks, or rather each of your lists that you may have in there.
Right.
and
Right.
manage it there. So that'll be the inbox while you're in your calendar. And I think, judging on some messages we'll talk about a bit further along as we keep moving, it may even mean that we'll see it while we're in OneDrive, maybe, eventually. We'll have a look. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about tasks before, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, but having so many areas where we could do tasks, um, that having consolidation, I think we kind of seen that even before Ignite, even before they started talking about that, we kind of knew something like that was going to happen, and so here we are.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. All right,
Yep.
moving on up, we have a change to the Office 365 Office portal, not including OneNote 2016 anymore. This is going to be painful for you?
Yes. Yeah? Very painful. I mean, no, because I already have it installed.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the OneNote Windows app. It is not something that I like. I don't know why. We talk about features and such. Yes, I think there's even still features that are not available and that it doesn't work the same. Mm-hmm. And that's yes. And so that I don't like that part. And then I don't know what it is, but the apps are different and it feels different and it's not, I don't know. I just don't like it. And it's not, I'm not, this is not it's terrible and those people are awful. And if you like it, that's great. Good for you. I just don't. So I've got it installed and it's not like they're making it to where you can't get it, but it's not going to be there by default when you go and download Office.
Yeah. Now, to allay some concerns there, like Daniel said, if you have it already installed and you're upgrading, like you do with Office, it will remain there, as far as we know. But it's when you go to install it on a new machine and you're downloading that package for Office 2019, it's not going to include OneNote 2016 anymore. You can download it separately and run it that way. There is an order to doing that. If you've installed OneNote first, which I don't know why you would, but if you've installed OneNote 2016 first and then Office 2019, the licensing naming in the app will look a little funny. It'll look like it's Home and Student, which is the free version of 2016, but it will eventually catch up, and you'll be licensed. You'll be fine.
Don't do it that way. Is my suggestion. I'd like to. So yes, I don't like it, and but that's okay. We could still get it for now. I think we're always going to be able to get 2016, but eventually, or as it's kind of that one version back. But they haven't been secretive about this is it. There's so eventually you're gonna have to switch over to the Windows app, and I'm just gonna go kicking and screaming. But I did want to mention the last thing on this that and this is going to be a little bit of a theme for today's show for me. I think I'm going to just not get on a soapbox, but I'm just going to sit there.
Stand there.
I'm just going to stand there for the whole show because we've got a lot of this happening this week, and it's just irritating. It is. If you look at that, starting on Tuesday, February 12th, OneNote 2016 will not be included by default. When was this announced, Daryl?
It was last week, right? So it was a matter of days, if not on the day.
Well, the published on was February 12th.
Mm-hmm.
And so the day they pulled it is when they put the announcement.
Yep.
How about some warning? How about we, because this does have some impact. I'm sorry, it does. It has some impact when you're onboarding new users. You hire somebody new, they go install, and now they're using the OneNote Windows app, and they're not using 2016 like everyone else who has been trained to use that app. Now they're not. And so, this does have impact. People need to be paying attention to this. In my opinion, it may not be that big of a deal, but, it is a difference. It does have impact.
Well, the other thing that we look into as well, if you are deploying this in a certain way. Actually, no, I'm thinking about something else. Yeah, no, don't worry about that. It was around deployment, and I expect that if an organisation is still trying to make sure that 2016 is available, that they will have a plan to install this as a separate package and roll it out using the usual methods. But yeah, it is starting, and we've seen this with a few products. It's starting to point us towards change is coming, and look, just start getting familiar with that experience, because the other one won't be there for very long.
Get used to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oxymoron. All right. So on to do.
Yeah.
I think this is interesting. The not only we just talked about To Do moving into Outlook, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now they're talking about To Do is licensed how, Daryl? We're now licensing it as part of Exchange. Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yep, because it's where it's going to appear. If you're going to that up beside the gear icon and you're in Outlook on the web, if you want that experience, it's touching the Exchange Online or Outlook experience.
That's right. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, yeah, it's. I do like that they gave us a month's notice here. Mm-hmm. We'll begin rolling this change out mid-March. Congratulations, guys and gals. Good job.
Good job. Yeah. And again, allaying concerns and fears that it's not going to affect the way that it's licensed on iOS and Android devices. You just use it, right? You will connect, and if you have an Office 365 mailbox that you're wanting to connect to, then it is there. It's just really going back to when we first saw To Do. It was a separate app, a separate setting. You enabled it via preview like we've been used to seeing. And now that's shifting into Exchange Online as it becomes more unified with tasks.
Right.
All right. Location, columns, and SharePoint lists.
Yeah, this is the one of many we're going to talk about today that has to do with SharePoint. This is a new column type called location, and it is really using when you have maybe offices listed in a list or clients or something, and you want to list out and you want to show a map or that relates to those items, then you can create a location column and be able to have that address and show that information in your list. So it's just a new column type, and this has been demoed for a while. I know it was demoed in Orlando as part of Ignite. I think it was talked about before then, but just a new column type in SharePoint.
Yep. And around these features, and we see a couple of them as we're talking today, there are features that are just made available, and so the adoption note that I would add to this, when it is just a new feature and something that's available, in a few cases, it's as simple as adding it to that list of brown bag lunches that you hold occasionally, or the communication channel that you have to let people know something new is coming that is available. And it's on you to, I would say, find or create something that's going to help people relate to it in your organization, using scenarios that mean something to how they work, so that they can use it and understand how to use it.
Daryl, I'm still on my soapbox though, sir, and I know this is a new feature, and it's not really a in-your-face kind of feature, but we will be rolling this out mid-February and expect to be completed by the end of the month. Well, they made the announcement mid-February. Again, not giving us the ample time. I agree. I know what you're going to say, Daryl. You don't even have to say it. Well, Daniel, this is not changing anything. This is not in your face feature. So why do you need so much, why would you ever need some advanced notice? I would say
what? That's exactly what I was going to say, word for word. But yeah, carry on.
I knew you would say that. I knew you would. I agree with you. However, it would be nice to give people ample time to do what you just said. At, at least put a line in the communication that you send out to people. But it's also principle. The principle of the fact is they're supposed to put these in here at least a month before.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look forward to it coming. And apart from giving us awesome maps,
I already
and
have
data,
Yeah.
So you can order and sort and filter things based on location, and that's all rich data. It's really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
We're talking soapboxes.
We could park here for a while.
Let's just promise to keep this one short, and maybe talk about it in like an up and coming discussion with the rest of the team. All right?
Yeah.
There's two sides, right? People are great, yes, awesome, 5,000 member teams. Going up from the limit of 2,500 to now you can have 5,000 people in a team. Yeah.
Think of all of the signals you're going to get in there, all of that chatter. I think it's of all of the apps in Office 365 right now, this is one of the most polarizing. It is how do you manage large amounts of people in teams? And I presented to the local user group on Thursday lunchtime, and I talked about what was new, and I mentioned this, and half the room were like, "Ooh, like that's gross," and then others were like, So,
yeah,
I personally think that it could be totally get out of control, especially for organizations that have no communication or governance. Well, not governance, but more of a training of helping people understand how to use it. They just kind of turn everything on. There's another debate that we've had.
Yeah.
You turn everything on and it's Wild West and everybody can just do whatever they want and they'll figure it out. Well, congratulations. If you do that and now you're going to have 5,000 people in a team, possibly eventually, all talking, and you're going to quickly see how quickly people can leave a team.
Yeah. There's a number of facets about this. It's good that it's available for some orgs that have chosen not to use Yammer, and sometimes they've chosen not to because of compliance reasons. You come from a country where you need to have your data in your country, then that's a concern
Team's not
for you.
it.
Then you can't use Yammer. And some have actually. I think a European Union, I think it was Louisa Fries that pointed out one of the regulations there that, as long as it complies with certain things you can. But it's providing that, and I'll use their words in this message, it was, I like this. Larger groups can now collaborate effortlessly in a single team, and leaders can connect with a broad audience. Look, what it will do is, especially when it's org-wide teams, is it will point out the need to give some thought to how you're going to structure your team before you open it up to that many people. You're going to use channels. You're going to lock down general and just use it for announcements. You're going to make it clear what your conduct is within a large team, so that it's not someone says something which is controversial or invokes a lot of response, and all of a sudden you've got 100 responses within 5 minutes. That's potentially what could happen. We could go on this one, but it's there.
We could.
It's available, and I really want to see and hear from organisations that are of this size, or have teams of this size, and tell us what the dynamic is. How do those conversations play out? Do people engage? Or do you have 2 or 3 layers of people, where there are the people who are always in there chatting, there are those that are just lurking and reading and then being informed, and those who occasionally dip their toe in the water and just throw their 10 cents in with occasionally. Be good to hear.
I agree. I think, like you said, we could camp out here, but I would like to know, because you can have the rules and even the I guess, what do you call it? The culture, right, in
Hmm.
your organization to, hey, everybody's part of this team, this is a very large team. Don't go around shouting to the team. This is very large. Remember, it's like you standing up in the middle of lunchtime and screaming to the whole campus of this organization. So
Mm.
maybe you shouldn't. But what happens when you hire a new person that doesn't know that culture as well, and they're like, "Oh, here's a team. I'm just going to mention the team and say, wasn't that just a stupid announcement they made?" I mean, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like, how does that all work? I'd love to hear it from organizations that are doing it right now. I'd love to.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it also highlights that need to show people how to use notifications and set them.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's keep moving because we've got about
Keep
12 to
moving.
go.
That's right.
We're bringing multiple new features to SharePoint Online document lists and libraries. How about that for a sweeping title?
Yes.
It does list them. Okay, it goes through and says we're going to
Does.
add column totals, bulk check
Yes.
in, check out, file
Yes.
signals, which sounds
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
But that sweeping title. Let's just talk a bit about some of those three that are in there.
Can I,
Yeah.
while I'm still on my soapbox, can I just mention
Yep.
yet again?
Another
This
one.
is one that started rollout really before it was in the message center.
You
February
like that?
12th, February 12th,
Yep.
early February is when it was rolling out. Anyway,
Uh-huh. Yep.
so I'll go ahead and mention that's my obligatory mention. But actually, these are cool features.
Mhm.
And one of them, though, before you're like, but Daniel, it's new features. It's not in front of the user. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
new to modern was the other point that I made. Like we have
Sure.
seen some of these in classic, so it's more
Yeah.
about coming up to parity.
Right.
But
But one of these actually doesn't fit that bill
yep.
and is brand spanking new and is in the face of your users. And if you don't pay attention and we're not communicating, then they may have been interrupted or caught off guard, and you
Okay.
didn't have time to communicate. And that's file signals. But can we start with column totals?
Oh,
What
sure.
do you, um, column totals? So you've got a list,
Mhm.
right? You've got numbers, whether that's money or counts or
Yep.
whatever, and you can you can do a column total at the bottom of your list. That's cool, right? I
Yeah,
mean, I
and it's something that we've enjoyed in Classic View, where if you've implemented that on the list, it gives you that dashboard feel. And I know it's really
yes.
basic, but it's the idea of at a glance I can see, ta-da, here's the totals, and it's in a lot of ways just as valuable as the column formatting.
Hmm.
Again, are we hot, cold, or warm? Are we on target for hitting things? So those totals are really really good to see. Um,
Agree.
yeah, parity feature, I think. What
Yep.
about
Yes.
bulk check-in, check-out? What do you think?
I like this. The first thing that comes to mind is when you're uploading a lot of documents all at once, and if there's required metadata, what happens? If
Mm.
you're dragging files over, well, it checks all those documents out to you until you fill in the metadata. Well, what happens when I fill in the metadata in datasheet and I'm ready to check them back in, and there's a
Yep.
hundred of them? This is fantastic because I can select them all and say check in and I'm done,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I love this feature and check out as well. If I want to, the same deal. If I'm wanting to bulk edit metadata, then I don't have to check each one of them out. I can check them
Mm.
all out. I can bulk update and then check. I'm excited.
Do you reckon
I
this
mean,
is
it's
more of
simple, but
a site owner administrative power user feature? It's not really something that the average person would use.
I I would think it's no, I think it's the person who's doing the most working with the content. So
Mm.
it could be the content owner, it could be the
Yeah.
site owner, it could be, but it's the person who's most doing and managing the content.
Yep. 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 Lastly, like you said, file signals, and
Click the additional information, would you,
oh,
would you
okay,
dare,
let's do
please?
that.
Because
Because I mean,
it's a
file
little
signals
more.
to me sound like oh, good, it does open in a new tab. I love it when they do that.
Yes, I love it too.
It doesn't load in the same.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
I
let's
think
make it
it's
a
the
little
second
bigger
part of this.
too. Yeah, no, we've still got this magnified. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so this is back from a post on 24th of
4th
January.
of January. Yeah.
Here's our bulk check in, check out.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So here's
wow.
signals. So this is why I was saying this is in your face, right?
Hmm.
So if malicious software has been detected, it's going to have this big, nice shield with an X for malware. Um, this checkout signal here is awesome because let's
Hmm.
think about you've got a bunch of documents and that are checked out. How do I know which ones I've checked out versus the ones you've checked out? Well, there's two ways. One, you can add the column checked out to, right?
Okay.
So you can kind of scan down and go, oh, there's my name. I've got that one checked
Takes
out.
up valuable real estate, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
You could also,
Especially for Stephen Papanopoulos. I mean, damn. Sorry,
so,
Stephen.
or you can uh, do the whole deal where you go and if it'll let you check it in, then you know that you've got it checked out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Um, but now at a quick glance, you can see all the ones you have checked out. It's the red circle with a white arrow. The ones that are checked
Mm.
out by others is the gray. I love it. And then
Yep.
there's great other ones here too. Some DLP ones, missing metadata, trending, the eyelash thing we've seen before, which is it's a new document. But anyway, signals on the items in your library. So
Mm.
this is great. And again, it's
Where does it display? Is it in a column or is it sitting over the file name like the eyelash does?
no, for like the checkout, it's over next. It's at the end of the column with the column name, right? It's
So
at
it is
the
a column.
end. It's not a special column. It's
Okay.
in the name column,
Hmm.
but at the very end of the name, right before the next column.
Got it. Okay.
I'm looking at it now, and they actually, I had this in my tenant, and it was great. Oh, wonderful! Especially the checkout one, and then realized, wait a minute. And Joanne Klein brought it up. I confirmed it and brought it up that the for some reason the discard checkout was missing.
Hmm.
So this is where someone else has checked out a file, and you want to, discard that checkout, or I'm sorry, you want to discard your checkout, right? To say I
Yeah.
don't want to have this checked
Don't
out
save any of
anymore,
my edits back up there. Go back to the original version.
right?
Yep.
It was missing, and
Oh.
so we brought it up. Yeah, we brought that up, contacted Microsoft, and then happened to at the end of that day, the file signals for checkout had been rolled back, and so we had the old green green square.
Mm.
But now it's actually back in my tenant, so I don't know what's going on, but so it's still rolling out, and I think they're maybe working out some kinks. But
Right.
I think record is another one. I think this is a great feature, giving you more information about a document without having to, go somewhere, click on properties,
Yeah.
do all
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Good.
right. I mean, do you find value in that? I mean,
Well, I
I
do.
do.
I mean, and
It's,
if it's even like with something as simple as trending, a number of people are
yeah,
viewing this. It is
yeah.
actually something that maybe I could give it some attention, and that potentially sends other signals via the Microsoft Graph to then
Mm,
present it to me in search and on my
right.
Office.com page. Hey, this is
That
something
would
to
be
check
good.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Righto. We have okay. This is probably just a very brief mention, but
Yes.
the SharePoint feedback button is being removed because not to say that they don't want any feedback. User voice is still available. You can go there. It's just that
Hmm.
the link at the bottom of modern sites now is not saying, hey, if you want to give us some feedback, then click here. Um,
I'm on my soapbox, Daryl.
oh, why?
Yet
Why? You still want to
again,
give feedback with a link?
starting in late February, we will
Yep.
be removing the feedback button. When was this announced? February 13th.
Yep. 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 Daniel
Hey,
wants to know when his feedback button is. But yeah, I know. Principle.
just be
Principle.
consistent.
Yep.
There's supposedly a rule or
Yeah.
something, a process. Let's follow it.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Now this
wow,
one.
wow, wow. What is this? What is this? Microsoft Forms Pro public
Yeah.
preview arrived in the Message Center, um,
February 13th.
February 13th.
Guess when it
Surprise!
showed up on the roadmap there,
Mm.
Daryl?
Oh, even on the roadmap too.
February 13th. Same day.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So roadmap usually says here it comes, and then a bit further down the track, it will eventually go into Message Center.
Yeah.
Other things that when this first appeared. In fact, I haven't even corrected this. Generally available started.
They haven't
today.
They haven't corrected that. Yeah, they haven't corrected that or the dates below. So yeah, I mean it's a little, and we were talking about this on Twitter.
Yeah.
Feels a little rushed.
Yeah. That said, I mean, a message and informing us aside, this sounds quite exciting. I know that you're quite keen to hear more about what would Forms Pro be? What would it offer more of? And it looks like it depends on you having Dynamics 365.
I don't know that it. I don't know. It depends on having Dynamics.
Oh, okay.
Because it's powered. I'm just reading this. Powered by both Office 365 and Dynamics. So, if you don't have Dynamics, will you get it? I'm thinking so. I don't know, but I'm thinking that maybe you get it. And
but like
it talks
Power
about,
BI, that it could be that it's powered by the service, and if you want to do more with it, then you've got to have something else.
Maybe, and I think it mentions. Was it here or is it in the? I think it's in the roadmap, which is interesting. The roadmap has more than this does.
Not the
it mentions
information because that goes off to something completely different.
Completely, yes.
Azure AD something.
Again, Azure AD. Remember this, and then the link on the, I think it's the roadmap. If you clicked it, it went to a page not found.
Okay. Right, so here's our roadmap item. I'm going to control click just to make sure that it opens in a new tab because I don't trust this particular one there. Right, and it's found the number. And here it is.
Click that more info.
Do I want to go to more info?
Well, new window.
Boom. Well, that's kind of a weird looking link. It's got the full URL www.formspro. something. And no wonder it doesn't load.
So hey, let's stay here for a second, though. Oh, all right. Yeah, it didn't. It goes nowhere. Because it mentions Dynamics 365, which you talked about just now, but then it mentions CDS and the Power Platform. That's where, I was like, oh, I'm guessing this is part of the Power Platform. That's why I said on Twitter because of that. Genius, it says it right there. But it's, I'm guessing. And, we saw Mary Jo Foley had put up an article, and basically she was just regurgitating what's being said. She updated it from, which is funny because she updated it after interviewing a Microsoft spokesperson, and basically they said, we'll have more information later. That was it. That was, even to I think a question was asked, is this Forms Pro something that's kind of built on Forms, right? That it's just, additional stuff. Yeah. And the response was something like, we released Forms and it was a fantastic tool and we'll have more information about Forms Pro or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So this basically doesn't tell us very much, but I am kind of excited. I'd like to know a little bit more because, it talks about adhering to compliance and privacy levels and hooking into CDS, which I think means more functionality because so hooking into CDS means hooking into your data, your company data, right? That you've stored in the common data services. I'm kind of excited about it, but then again, I don't know a lot about it. So it just this one's rushed. I've got it, and
it's like they've been really excited about something that they want to talk about. Because remember, the original Forms was first released to the education market. And that's where it was being used, and then it got released to business and to enterprise. And I'm not saying that Forms is a little weak, but just saying that it where it originated from hasn't given it a lot of opportunity to grow and do a lot more.
Right.
So they may have been working for some time parallel, looking at whatever Forms Pro is.
Microsoft.com is where it's supposed to live eventually. That's what was said about it. So whenever it shows up, that's where it'll be.
Yep. Yep. Power BI scheduled maintenance. So that's another one of our services that tells us this sort of thing.
I
Why are
know
you
we
laughing?
just said last week we were like,
Yeah.
oh, nobody tells us this stuff except for Skype,
Yammer
and
and
then here
Skype,
we go.
and then there's Power
Yeah,
BI. There we go.
that's
Thank you. Yep.
they felt left out.
What was that? What was that cheeky remark? We said that. Oh, is it that the other services don't need to because they're built fault tolerant and that
That
scheduled
someone said
maintenance
it
is
on the
not a
show.
thing. Yeah, some guy. We'll keep moving. Updated feature for the Outlook 365
Yeah.
nav bar in OneDrive for Business and SharePoint Online. It's going to be more like the nav bar in Outlook, in that some of the shared features which you can have across Outlook, OneDrive, and SharePoint will live underneath our gear icon. That's what I take from this. I think it's also positioning itself for when Microsoft Search comes in, and you'll see that search bar that gets driven across all the application experiences.
This has
What comes to
changed.
mind?
I mean, this is a big one. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, what comes to mind as some of the common features between SharePoint, OneDrive, and Outlook?
Well, obviously, files is a big, between all three of those, you're going to have files. And I think having a consistent, that's one thing I say all the time on the show is consistency matters. And so having a consistent way of managing how you look at properties and how you get to settings, I think is good.
Yep.
And I've noticed, and Outlook's been that way for a while, right? Where you have that pane, and and it's funny because I go into Outlook when I'm using Outlook on the web, and I want to set my out of office. The out of office is not right there in the properties, right? So you have to search. But anyway, it's I like it. It is going to be a change. So definitely need to be paying attention to this, and definitely need to educate your users on this and how they're going to be affected. When are they going to be affected, Daryl?
Well, is it shortly again?
We will begin gradually rolling this change out to targeted release organizations starting today.
Today
is what it said today, which was announced on February 14th.
Yeah, you still haven't come down off that soapbox. It's still right there.
They're giving me ample opportunity to stand on the soapbox.
Yes, right. And look, where we do get a hint of to what that looks like is within the new Outlook on the web experience. So your settings, when there's something common between the three, then you are going to see it down and under here and help managing file attachments and how they go across to OneDrive is going to be something common between Outlook and OneDrive, or getting files over into a SharePoint group or a group connected to SharePoint is again that same.
Well, and SharePoint Modern, Daryl, right, is very similar. We've been introduced to this whole the settings and the pane and not having to go to site settings and all that, right? So
yeah.
So we're usins, those that have been in SharePoint Modern have started seeing that anyway.
Yeah. This one, Teams app. All right.
Yeah.
The Teams app will become part of the Office Pro Plus install. So while they're taking OneNote 2016 out,
that's what I was about to say.
Another semi-purple icon is coming back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what that will look like. Whether, given that it is click to run, driven by click to run, at the moment it's a separate package. That it could be just that it just downloads as part of the that package way of rolling things out. It's gradually rolling out.
Yep. Keep reading.
25th of February will roll out and continue to monthly channel subscribers on 12th of March, and then everyone else by July 2019.
So when did they give us
Again, yeah. Just a week or so of notice.
No. They actually
What?
started it last month.
Oh, actually, yeah, I think I do remember reading that.
Yeah, but
But that's kind
anyway.
of in conflict. Like I say, they've started going to targeted release mid-January. Then on 25th of February, they'll roll it out to monthly channel. If you have Teams already installed, don't worry. It's not going to uninstall, reinstall. Not that it matters, because it's still Teams, and that's pretty much a progressive web app, you might say. I don't know, but it's yeah, it'll just be part of. Look, the other comment that I have around this is that I still think about how there was all these promises about you being able to do a lot more within the web browser. And yes, you can be in Teams and you can chat, you can do files, you can do lots of the stuff. You can semi-participate in meetings, but you're not a full meeting participant. You can't do everything. And we've seen discussions that say, look, why don't you just download the desktop client, because then you'll have a full experience. To me, this is just making sure that it's available there and ready for anyone who will, when they are licensed for Teams, will be able to use it.
Well, and I think it helps. It helps though, Daryl, with what you just said. You know, if people are used to using Teams, or not at all, but used to using Teams in the web, or not even at all, when they go to join a Teams meeting, being a full meeting participant, that's a good thing, right? So
yeah, it is.
Having it installed on your desktop, ready to go when I click that link, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's good to see that it's making its way through the channels eventually. We have an update to information protection across E3, E5, Advanced Compliance, and Information Protection. I didn't actually read this very closely.
They're basically setting this up for future stuff.
Okay.
They're having these licenses to and they're setting it up. It says basically there's no immediate impact, but it is being added in support of upcoming features. So I think they're going to have that standard and premium, and they're going to be able to fill those in with features later.
Yeah, I think it's been also termed like the bump up. So where an organization has an E3 license, whether it be Microsoft 365 or Office 365, it is quite a leap to go up to E5 and get some of these key features and capabilities that now they're making more of them available as separate subscriptions, and even would seem bundling them. So if security is of more importance to your org, then you can get that bundle, and that bumps you up without having to pay that full E5 price.
Yep.
Yep.
So what? You went too fast. Go back.
I did, but it hasn't moved yet. Wow.
That's what I was going to point out. So you just went to the new message. That was the next message, and it's talking about SharePoint Online gets sticky. But the first section there is the update that we just read.
So wait, I did move to the next message.
You did.
I did.
but you didn't.
Little buggy here to this
It's
week.
a little buggy. I think. So what I think it is that this top section is actually missing in this item, and so I think the code is expecting it to be there. So if you actually close this, you hit the X up there, and then
I just want to make one wisecrack, because it just is so ironic that we're talking about a sticky piece within SharePoint, and it's as if the previous message has stuck.
Yes, it has.
All right,
That's
I'll close
nice.
it. I'll go
and then if you open it back, then you'll notice that it doesn't have any information before. How does this impact me, right? So I think that's why it's a little buggy there.
Yep. But this is excitedly received. Yay! We have columns that will stay there when we scroll down the page, so we know what the top of that column is the title of that column.
Yeah, Excel has had this for how long?
Freeze panes.
Yes, freeze panes. But again, at the user group this past Thursday, when I was presenting, I was talking about in the What's New section, we talked about this, and everybody's like, "Yay!" And then I saw it in their face. They're like, wait, we didn't already have that? No, we didn't. Why didn't
Mm.
we have that? But again, fine. Here we are. It's fantastic
Yep.
having to be able to scroll down and know what you're looking at, and what, instead of having to scroll all the way back up and go, oh, that's
Mm.
what that column is. Scroll all the way back down. So it's
Yep.
it's good stuff.
Yep. And we finish on something that's a bit like, oh, really? We're still talking about this? Clutter, which came out in probably 2014, I think, was a way of us trying to get our mail that is important to us and makes sense separate from subscriptions and stuff like that. And it was around for about a year or so, and then we got Focused Inbox, and Clutter seems to have hung around. It's still available,
Hmm.
and they must have left it turned on because the telemetry says that there's significant adoption of it, I would say.
Right. Well,
But move to using Focused Inbox if you're wanting this capability.
but what's your definition of I guess it's not that you opt in for clutter and say, yes, let's move these things in there. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not, adoption is, what's your definition of adoption? Because it's not me being proactive, it's the people sending me messages, right?
Mm.
So that's, anyway, I think the interesting part here for me is that they've already deactivated it. Yet again, another one where they just started doing things, but they've deactivated the item using clutter for new users already. So if you
Mhm.
fire up new users, they're not going to have clutter. And if this will affect, okay, have you looked in your, someone calls and says, I can't find an email. They said they sent it. And the people helping them goes, okay, go to the clutter. And they're like, clutter? What's that? Well,
Or
it should be there in the list. Just click
yeah,
clutter. I don't have a clutter. What are you talking
yeah.
about? Of course you have clutter. um, anyway, or for new users or those that don't, have as many, they don't have at least 12 emails per month going into clutter.
Mm.
So
Mm.
some arbitrary number, and then it says you can turn it back on if that's the case. If
Yep.
um, if you get less than 12 but you want to keep it on, but it doesn't tell you how to keep it on. Maybe
Mm.
um, anyway. So I think, what are your thoughts on this, Daryl, about, you said it at the beginning, we're still talking about this, but
Yeah.
for me, it's, yes, we're still talking about it. We won't be for a while, eventually.
Mm.
But what are your thoughts on how they're handling this as far as trying to move people in the direction of not having clutter? The
Um, I think back to
concept.
when it did first become available, that
Hmm.
it was ta-da, it's here, and that actually caused quite an upset as
Yeah.
people saw this new folder and thought, okay, great, but where's all my email? I don't have everything together. How do I turn it
Hmm.
off? There was also messages that because it's an intelligent feature, just like Focused Inbox, that it would see how you're reading your email and how do we train it. Some people tried to train it, they struggled, it wasn't picking up and it wasn't remembering some of these things that are training, and in other cases it was picking up important organizational wide messages and dropping them into
Hmm.
clutter.
That's
Um,
right.
Now,
Still
I
does.
think, yeah, and well, look, because it's an intelligent feature, and if you're not reading them, then it detects that behavior and it sticks it in clutter. There is a
Right.
bypass for that. They
Mm.
did create it and say, look, you can make sure that certain messages from certain email addresses will avoid clutter and always go in your full inbox.
Right.
Peeling this back, getting people out of using clutter, they have to gradually take the feature away, a little like how they've been trying to do this with moving people to OneNote for Windows.
Hmm.
That it's still there. We won't allow any more new users. It's still there. We're going to start closing down that capability. But I don't know, this seems to be a bit disjointed. They're not really showing a way through to the focused inbox and how to use that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't think I agree with you. It's not been, the loop hasn't been closed there. And I don't like turning it off for new users. I I would rather have it organizational wide for those reasons. For that reason I mentioned, is that different experiences for your users, and so you're going to have to support people differently. Now, I think most organizations that have a help desk or have several layers of support, or support within teams or whatever, they're kind of used to people having, well, what version of Office do you have, or what OS do you have? I think they're kind of used to that, but I just don't like basically forcing organizations to have a mixed mode of people having clutter and not having clutter. I'd rather it be for the entire organization one way or the other, and let me control it, because the communication, again, going back to, so I can train my users to start using the Focus Inbox. But and I agree with you that I haven't really closed the loop here of Focus Inbox, Focus Inbox, Focus Inbox. Here's how you do it. Here's the, let's get some links to the Focused Inbox and showing that. The additional information does give you got to go to the bottom of the additional information, and it talks, there's a blog post about Focused Inbox, so there's some information there. But
the date on that thing.
I know. We're still talking about this?
Yeah, we are.
Yes, we
2017.
are. Yes, we are.
Oh, good. Hello, John Auden. How are you? Yeah. Oh, good. Eventually, we'll see that move along. I still come across people that don't like either, and they prefer to have all their messages go one after the other, and they just deal with whatever it is, and they file and they play the inbox zero game.
Yeah.
I feel satisfied that I have filed all my email and read them all. Yeah. I'm just jealous because I can't.
Well, and you're the type, we've talked about on the show, you're the type that dismisses these messages after you've taken action and you've reviewed them. I don't. I keep them, and so if you looked at mine, I'm going to have them all there. Now you can get to dismiss messages, but I like having them all there. So anyway. It's to each his own of how you manage it, but clutter's going away.
Yep,
still going away.
Well, look, we don't want to go into any extra news because we've given you a very hefty episode of 52 minutes. And look, there's no sense in breaking it up. I know. I just about want to find another way of publishing this. But anyway, you're seeing this live, and we're pre-recording it because we're both. Yeah, I did it again. Yeah. Anyway,
ruin this.
I know. But thank you everyone for hanging in there. And we're probably still getting some feedback saying, "Hey, why don't you guys try and make this into a podcast as well, so we can just listen to it on our daily commute or weekly commute?"
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We've got some plans. Yep. Thank you very much for attending, and we'll catch you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.